afternoon. I wanted to show you that short performance to give you a small taste of Australian culture. We wanted to share that because it influenced so much of this great project. The Aboriginal culture of Australia dates back 80,000 years. It's one of the oldest living contiguous cultures in the world. The site of our buildings was a thriving traditional fishing and hunting ground, cared for by Indigenous Australians for eons. Now, the site was named after a significant Indigenous woman, Barangaroo. She was a tribal elder known for her skill, integrity and resilience. Her husband, Benelong, had already been acknowledged with the naming of the site of the Sydney Opera House in his honour. So now it is her time. My name is Liam Timms. I'm the Fund Manager of International Towers for Lendlease in Sydney. I'm here with Avtar Lotay, Managing Director of Stirk Harbour and Partners, who are the architects of International Towers Sydney. The project was also significant because of its scale and timing. It was in 2009, a long time ago, during the throes of the global financial crisis. The successful bid had to look over the horizon. We needed a bold vision with the collaboration of a city, and we had big aspirations. We returned 50% of the site to the public. We had to be carbon neutral and deliver the project at no cost to the taxpayer. International Towers Sydney was a commitment to add 3 million square feet of premium space, 137 floors, a 42% increase to the existing market. We had to create towers that the city would embrace and that would allow businesses and people to thrive. Failure wasn't an option. So we asked ourselves, how would we succeed? How do we develop buildings that people will thrive in? Quite simply, how do we build one of the most progressive workplaces in the world? We believe the answer to all these questions lay in 4 critical and equally important ingredients: the design, sustainability, community, and culture. I'd like to hand over to Avtar to discuss design.
Thank you, Liam. Our practice has been involved with this site since 2004, the time of the first international competition, as Liam mentioned, in 2009. Lendlease with RSHP won the bid for the southern part of the site. The entire site was formerly a heavily contaminated container port, approximately 54 acres, with 1.5 miles of harbour foreshore. The Barangaroo South site, shown in red, located near to the CBD core, is approximately 18 acres with a 1,500-foot harbour foreshore and had restricted primary connections to the CBD, was poorly served by public transport. The concept arrangement, which evolved over time, for the entire site was to be organised as 3 distinct zones. Barangaroo Reserve in the north, developed as a public park, recreating a headland which used to exist there around about 1836. Barangaroo Central in the middle, where the future cultural and residential content would be located, and Barangaroo South to the south, where the commercial density would be located, the site of the International Towers. The straight edge of the old container port being broken and modified by the introduction of 2 water coves, separating the 3 zones. The requirement for Barangaroo South Towers was to accommodate some 3 million square feet of commercial space. This site presented a great opportunity to develop large floor plates, an opportunity which is limited within the existing CBD core. The traditional Cartesian city planning grid being explored, its limitations were reduced solar access during the day onto the streets and diminishing waterfront views. The radial geometry was also explored. This permitted the opening up of solar access and water views and the optimization to maximize both these corridors. The principle of 3 sibling towers being developed, where they could share a common chassis, yet they could develop their own personality. The common chassis elements were the floor plate design, the core arrangements, the expression of the serve and serving elements, the needs for solar shading and the harsh Australian climate, and the enclosing facades. Their personal identities being expressed in differences in height, differences of the rooftop, differences in how they met the ground and the street buildings, differences of the development of their solar shading. The end result begins to illustrate all of the thinking that's gone into expressing the similarities and the differences. The floor plate developed to provide the necessary 25,000 square feet. The final profile evolved from the influences of the radial geometry, the constraints and the opportunities of maximizing views and solar corridors. Working in unison with the curved floor plate profile, the design of the large vertical shading developed to counter the low east and west sun angles, or the passenger lifts located in the express core, or the service risers, escape stairs, and goods lifts located in the embedded core. The floor plate structural design provided a column-free perimeter by cantilevering the edges. The structure allowed for soft spots, for interfloor connectivity, floor-to-floor heights of 12.5 feet on typical floors and 13.75 feet on client floors allowed general ceiling heights with compact ceiling services and raised access floors throughout. The curved ends permitted panoramic views with no corner offices, therefore providing a democratic floor plate. The design principles for the external expression of the towers were developed around on how they connected to the ground and the street buildings, expression of the core and the floor plates, the introduction of horizontal articulation to break down the vertical scale, articulation of the tower roofs, verticality of the east and west building prows, the visibility of the environmental strategies adopted, and the layering of the visual depth of the elements. The solar response to each tower developed a range of facade shading that responded to changing solar load throughout the day. Each of the sibling buildings responding to their individual geographic and environmental context or orientation, overshadowing from their neighbors. The differences bringing variety of light and shadow across each of the facades and all of the towers. The shading of each three towers developed in detail to express individuality, varying the materials and colors used, their shaping, and the engineering required to keep them in place. The Tower 1 solar shading is primarily glass held in frame to express its crystalline character. Tower 2 solar shading primarily uses simple aluminum tubes held in a frame to express its neutral character. Tower 3 solar shading primarily uses double sheet elements combining the vertical and horizontal shading in continuous sinuous forms winding its way down the facade. The largest vertical shades on the east and west elevations are 6 feet wide. Their support systems and the detailing of their engineering and how they're put together and what the components are doing is expressed and highly visible from within the interior spaces. The optimization of the North Core introduced a series of flexible vertical village spaces which are articulated from and located above the low and mid-rise lift banks. These spaces, connected to the main floor plates, allow further opportunities for vertical connectivity of the floor plates and could be configured in a multitude of ways, single-story, double-story, or triple. The siblings' measurements are: Tower 1 has 46 occupied levels with around 1.2 million square feet, standing at a height of 690 feet. Tower 2 has 41 occupied levels with over 1 million square feet, standing at a height of 620 feet. Tower 3 has 38 occupied levels with just under 1 million square feet, standing at 560 feet. With significant commercial floor plates in the precinct being provided on a large floor plate, the importance of the quality of the space becomes critical. The general ceiling heights of 9.5 feet to 10 feet, with the interfloor connectivity and extensive views out towards the city and water, provided ingredients for the tenants to fully overlay their characters of their respective organizations, creating a diversity of workplaces for their people and their long-term future. The transition floors between tower and street buildings offered great opportunities to indicate rooftop gardens as physical and visual amenity, as well as opportunities for these to be used as curated workspaces. The integration of the 6 lobbies within the streets and the finer grain through-site link was achieved by the street finishes taken inside the lobbies and the lobby finishes taken to the outside. The north-south through-site link integrating artist work weaving through streets and the lobbies. The daylighting, sunlighting, drawing the people through the lobbies. The community spaces and tertiary workspaces created the lobby street thresholds, incorporating the possibilities of storytelling by the tenants on the big lobby surfaces. This resulted in the breaking down of the barriers between the lobbies and the streets. All of this blur the boundaries between the commercial private lobby spaces and the public realm of the streets. There is transparency and connectivity between adjacent streets through north and south lobbies of each tower. All this creating an open system of movement across the ground plane of the 3 towers. The vibrant new waterfront city precinct will accommodate 23,000 professionals, 2,000 residents, and over 90 cafes, bars, restaurants, and retail outlets across approximately 5.75 million square feet above ground floor, with an additional 400,000 square feet at basement space. The new precinct is now connected to every mode of transport. International Towers is Australia's most accessible workplace. A precinct which is sustainable, delivering 9 separate development plots on a singular basement, which consolidate all primary servicing and serves all 9 above ground buildings. This singular basement has allowed the pedestrianisation of the public realm and the streets, and has allowed for the aspirational sustainability agenda to be fulfilled, on which I'm going to hand over to Liam to elaborate on.
As Avtar mentioned, everything we do at International Towers was based on sustainability. And for us, that means environmental, social, and economic. This was a unique opportunity to show that an uncompromising commitment to sustainability in all its forms is a solid investment in the long-term viability of a commercial asset and its occupants. Let's take a look at environmental sustainability. Every design element created through the lens of sustainability. All buildings are the highest rating of a 6-star Green Star. And recently, International Towers were the first buildings in the world to ever be awarded WELL certification for Core and Shell Platinum level, the highest certification available. This makes International Towers, Sydney, one of the healthiest buildings in the world. The project aims to be Australia's first large-scale carbon-neutral precinct, to be water positive and operate a net zero waste. We've utilised 100% single-pass fresh air conditioning system. Our recycled water treatment plant generates water for use within the toilet facilities and the plant irrigation, processing over 1 megalitre a day. There are 65,000 square feet of solar panels on the rooftops of the towers, providing electricity to power all public domain lighting and help power the recycled water plant. There was a 97% diversion of construction waste from landfill. We delivered a 20% reduction in embodied carbon in the construction process against the typical. We have the largest installation of LED lights in Australia with over 50,000 fittings. All takeaway food packaging used on site is made from compostable materials, which is then processed with food scraps to create green energy and biofuel. And we house the largest bicycle hub in Australia, with parking for over 1,000 bikes. We're also striving to set new benchmarks for buildings and workplace when it comes to social sustainability. We employ a very robust procurement policy that guarantees integrity of original design, sustainable and ethical manufacturing, and provenance of materials. We've developed our own training programs for Indigenous youth, providing them with accredited skills training and employment. We hosted the successful campaign to have marriage equality recognised in Australian law. We're proud to say that all these efforts of working with all levels of government has seen a reciprocal investment in infrastructure to make International Towers the most accessible workplace. Importantly, the economic sustainability of businesses within our towers. Studies around the world predict that between 20 and 40% of jobs that exist today will be vulnerable by 2030 because of disruption. That means the role of workplace is changing dramatically. We felt it was time buildings changed too. By creating workplaces that allow companies to rapidly expand or contract the size of their teams, therefore their workspace requirements as well, we've removed a major impediment to their ability to make long-term lease decisions. Within the towers, we've designed smaller, uniquely flexible open floor workspaces and shared community spaces that create positive collisions and collaboration both within and across organisations. This creates opportunities for smaller organisations, such as startups, to join our community, which is increasing our tenant diversity and embracing the vibrancy and vitality of our community, protecting it against future disruption. This model has many benefits. They're able to expand operations quickly and cost-effectively with minimal disruption. They're able to attract and retain the best talent, and they report greatly reduced absenteeism and improved employee wellness. Our third ingredient, community. It's been said, people ignore design that ignores people. Shouldn't a great building be judged not only on the beauty of its structure, but by the magic of what happens inside it each day? To make sure we could create extraordinary environment for business success, we had to ensure that each tenant shared the same values. Our groundbreaking approach to curating the building tenancies has ensured the towers are inhabited by a highly diverse community of businesses that share aligned values, a commitment to innovation, sustainability and collaboration. They are part of a larger community of progressive organisations, each at the top of their game and eager to share their expertise to create those unexpected opportunities. And final ingredient, culture. Culture to drive and preserve the wellbeing, happiness, pride and motivation in individuals and teams. We know that organisations with strong positive cultures perform better, attract the best people, retain the best people and make better long-term profits. What if the culture of a building itself could support and amplify the culture of each tenant? What if the approach to design and a values-based management philosophy were designed to help every individual and every tenant thrive? These ideas were recently identified at International Towers in a world-first white paper by Professor Grant from the University of Sydney, introducing the concept of the positive built workplace environment.
So the positive built workplace environment really is about a workplace environment that's built, designed and operated in a way that allows the people that work there to consistently produce high performance and also consistently experience high well-being. It really is as simple as that. But when we start to unpack that kind of simple notion, we have two kind of key characteristics. One is a physically designed workplace that allows communication. It allows people to work in groups, but also, when they need to take their own private space. And it also requires the leadership to have the ability to facilitate the growth and development of individuals with that. So the positive built workplace environment is one that is both designed and operated in a way that allows consistent high performance and consistent well-being, and also has a leadership that kind of facilitates the engagement and development of the individuals that work there.
Supporting culture also requires a building to be designed to maximise human health, well-being and engagement. We do this in a number of ways. We facilitate opportunities for interaction and engagement amongst our tenant partners. Above and beyond the normal operating costs, International Towers and their tenants contribute in excess of $6 million per annum to the New South Wales Government for placemaking and curation of cultural activities within the public domain. We also celebrate diversity in all its forms, and we championship thought leadership, exposing our communities to knowledge, creativity, art and experiences that inspire new conversations. So, has it worked? Well, at 90% occupation, we've attracted some of the world's leading companies in a diverse range of businesses. And the project's success has been acknowledged by a number of industry awards, recently awarded the Australian Development of the Year 2018 and the People's Choice Award. And finally, let's hear from one of our tenants, Romilly Mudgee, the CEO of the Green Building Council of Australia.
Where we've noticed productivity and innovation outcomes as a team is breaking down silos and increasing communication. We have a smaller footprint than we did in our last space. It's down to a third in the footprint size. And so that means who you want to engage with or talk to is really within QE of you. And it makes it really so easy to get projects done, to communicate about something really quickly and not have a delay. It was felt that I was kind of isolated in our last fit out because of where I was and the way we'd structured. I'm now incredibly engaged with the team in a much more productive way, and so the staff can get answers really quickly, which means we are more responsive to our members and our industry in doing what we're here to do, which is to transform the built environment.
So finally, we believe that truly great buildings of the 21st century will not simply be wonders of modern architecture, but places where beautiful, innovative design marries seamlessly with an absolute commitment to sustainability and diversity and the well-being and happiness of everyone that occupies them. We believe that every investment made in creating extraordinary structures and spaces must be matched with an investment in nurturing culture, community and equality. We believe that to be one of the great buildings of the world, we must better the lives of those who visit us each day, better our city, better our community, better our environment and inspire better outcomes for all. We think Barangaroo, the woman, would be very proud of what she inspired, and we are honoured to have had the privilege of working and creating on the land of her people, past and present. Thank you and best wishes to all the wonderful projects being presented here today.